What's up guys, Coaster Frills here, and I am finally back with another video. Last I posted was during the summer, but I feel like there's no better time than the holiday season to come back to the channel. Today I will be going over my top 10 coasters as of the end of 2025. 2025 itself was an amazing year for coasters for me, as I was able to visit 9 different parks and gain a total of 30 new credits. I'm incredibly grateful for the year I had, and I can only wish for a 2026 that's better than this. As of today, I have 81 credits, so here are my top 10 coasters as of the end of 2025. Starting off the list at number 10 is one of my new for 2025 credits, as well as the tallest roller coaster in the world, Top Thrill 2 at Cedar Point. Now, this coaster currently holds the record for being the tallest in the world, but it'll only keep this record for a few days, as Falcon's Flight will open on New Year's Eve to dethrone it by a decent, 200 feet. Anyways, this coaster renovated the very iconic Top Thrill dragster, and though I didn't ride the original, I'm very happy to say that this coaster is very solid. The addition of a swing launch as well as a back spike were very great additions that I'm happy to say were very fun. Especially the second and third launches stood out to me, as the third launch gets you to 120 miles per hour, which is truly an unreal experience, and the spike has great floater throughout the entire thing, making for great additions to the ride that I'm sure improved it in some way. The top hat, I believe, still remains as the best element of the ride, as it genuinely has a breathtaking view, sustained airtime throughout, and the spiral out of it having some of the most ridiculous whip I've ever experienced on a coaster. Overall, Top Thrill 2 is a great ride that shockingly doesn't even crack my top 5 at Cedar Point, so stay on the lookout for the other 5 coming in soon. At number 9, we have a new for 2025 tilt coaster, Silence Curse at Cedar Point. This ride was absolutely amazing and truly a showcase of what modern Vekoma can do. The tilt track itself was awesome, very punchy, and the drop kinda felt like a drop tower. The entire rest of the ride has incredible eject airtime throughout the entire thing, and I rode in row 5, which is supposed to be the most forceless seat. The elements that provide the best airtime were the triple down and the finale, mostly due to its rapid airtime pops back to back to back. Along with being airtime packed, the ride also has great whip, awesome onboard audio, and easily is one of the smoothest coasters I've ever ridden. Vekoma absolutely knocked it out of the park with Silence Curse, and I can almost guarantee that it'll rise even higher in my rankings if I got more re-rides. Staying at Cedar Point, number 8 is Millennium Force, an Intamin Giga. Millennium Force is a ride that last year I claimed was overrated. I didn't really like the layout and thought that there was way too many overbanks, hills with absolutely no airtime, or just filler track. I got one ride this year in the very front row, and my opinion completely changed. I still stand by that the layout isn't great and the overbanks are next to useless. However, the first overbank did make me gray out very hard, and the airtime hills I before criticized gave very solid sustained floater airtime in the front row. Of course, the same positives I had last year from my 3 rides were also very good, with a great sustained speed throughout the entire layout, and the first drop still being my current favorite first drop on any ride. After my 3 decent rides last year, I've came to the conclusion that Millennium Force is hands down a front row ride, as honestly, I think that's what secured it a top 10 spot this year. I would definitely recommend the front for any experience on Millennium Force. Number 7 on this list is possibly the single most unique roller coaster in all of North America, X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This is a 4D coaster, and this model outside of Magic Mountain can only be found in Japan or China. The 4D coaster model has similar spinning mechanics to the SNS free spins, such as the Joker clones at Six Flags parks. However, it is a controlled spin, and actually has a real layout. I was never so excited to ride a coaster than to ride X2, and it did not disappoint. The first drop was absolutely insane, as you are tilted to face straight down and drop 200 feet. The spinning mechanics of the ride are also so fun and whippy, and the final inversion with the fire effect on is also a ton of fun. The ride does have a roughness problem, but that's pretty typical of Arrows, and the few janky transitions are also mostly Arrows. The layout itself is good enough that you can try and put up with the roughness to ride it. And overall, X2 is an absolutely awesome ride and a truly indescribable experience. However, not the best Arrow. That honor goes to the number 6 spot on the list, Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point. Magnum is easily the most controversial coaster on this list, as most of the people you will ask who have ridden the ride will say it's either horrible or just okay. I disagree with the majority in this sense, and honestly, Magnum XL200 might be my personal favorite coaster ever. I mean, sure, it's janky and definitely far from smooth, but it's similar to X2. If you can look past the roughness, you will see how good this ride is. It's genuinely so much fun, and it pains me that I can't rank it higher, because the airtime on this ride is, well, it's terrifying. The first drop has great floater airtime, the hill leading into the stupid turnaround has great flowjector, all of the hills leading up to the finale have great floater, and the finale is truly indescribable. The ejector airtime on those 4 stupidly shaped triangle hills is quite literally the strongest and best elements I've ever experienced. Except for maybe Maverick's Tangle Dives, but it is a maybe. These hills are elite, and overall the ride is stupid but just elite in general. Magnum XL200 is an amazing experience, and in my opinion it is very interchangeable with my number 5, which is Raging Bull at Six Flags Great America. This is my most ridden coaster of all time, and every season I ride it, it gets better and better. This is often criticized for not having too many airtime moments, but the quality of airtime it does have, and quite a few moments actually, give some really good airtime. The first drop and drop off the mid-course brake run give some great ejector, and more moments like the camelback, a few small hills, and this wave turn? I don't know what to call it. Those give good floater though. My only complaint is that it does have a few dead spots, like a few forceless high off the ground turnarounds, and a lackluster finale. Honestly, the ride overall is just a ton of fun, and I really hope I get to ride another B&M Hyper so I can finally compare it to another one. As of now, I believe this ride is underrated, and I'm glad other enthusiasts are finally starting to recognize how good Raging Bull really is. The best new credit I picked up in 2025 was Twisted Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain, which comes in at the number 4 spot. If you haven't figured out already, the thing I value most in coasters is airtime, and Twisted Colossus is packed full of it. This is a dueling coaster, but opposed to most dueling coasters, you get to go through the layout on both tracks. This means you basically get 2 rides in one, and the opportunity to duel, which I did get on the blue side, was really fun. The dueling itself is pretty fun and has some good interactivity, especially on the high 5, which is also an amazing element. The layouts themselves are mostly just all sorts of different types of airtime hills, with one inversion each to mix it up. The airtime itself was mostly ejected on almost every hill, and overall I would say this is the second most amount of airtime I've had on any ride. I can go into depth about each hill, but all of them give similar amounts of airtime, with the high 5 mostly sticking out. The only negatives to this ride are 2 small problems, and that's that the pacing kinda suffers, which is mostly due to the second lift hill literally bringing the train to a stop, and the layouts themselves not being that interesting beyond just a ton of airtime moments. But these small issues are mostly just being picky, and the ride is still comfortably amazing and deserves to be in the top 5. At number 3, we have Lightning Rod at Dollywood. When Lightning Rod opened in 2016, it broke records for being the first ever launched wooden coaster, but after becoming notorious for a lot of maintenance issues, the launch was slowed down a ton over the years, to the point of being completely replaced with a chain lift in 2024. With the launch getting removed, many are starting to claim that the ride isn't as good anymore or isn't world class. And though I didn't ride the original version with the launch, I can say that Lightning Rod without the launch is still awesome. The first drop and wave turn have super sustained floater, and the twist and shouts provide more floater along with great whip going in and out of them. The ride picks up speed the longer the ride goes on, due to the amazing terrain that also blocks almost all footage of the ride. By the time you reach the quad down, you're flying, and the quad down itself is just 4 amazing pops of quick ejector as you fly down the hill. You then climb up an intense turn and dive into the brakes. This ride has one of the best layouts I've ever experienced, with a great mixture of floater, ejector, whip, and a good sense of speed, which is everything I could personally ask for in a coaster. Kicking off the top 2, we have Maverick at Cedar Point. Maverick was probably my most improved coaster of the year. My opinion on it from last year to this year changed so drastically, it's actually crazy. I already had Maverick as my number 2 coaster too. Last year, if you want to see my video, I have it in the description. But my 5 rides this year almost put it into the same league as my number 1, which I didn't even consider a possibility. Maverick is freakishly intense and whippy, and I love every single bit of it. The S-bends at the beginning have so much great whip, the 2 airtime hills have so much ejector, it's amazing. The inversions, although forceless, are still fun, and the second launch actually pulled force this year. It had an amazing sense of speed throughout the entire launch until that awesome transition out of it. The pacing might just be the best of any coaster I've ridden. I think that the Stangle dives might just be my favorite elements of all time. Like I said earlier, it's either Lem or Magnum's finale. I gotta think about it more. But overall, Maverick is a truly special coaster, and the forces it pulls is still something I haven't found on any other ride. Staying in the same area of the same park is our number 1 coaster, Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. Steel Vengeance still stands tall as comfortably my pick for the best coaster I've ridden. While Maverick specializes in whip and pacing, Steel Vengeance specializes in pure airtime. Steel Vengeance stands over 200 feet tall and has over a mile of track. It also has the impressive stat of having the most amount of airtime of every single roller coaster on Earth, and almost every single bit of it is ejector airtime. RMC did a fantastic job turning the old and rough Meeshreik into a contender for the best coaster in the world. The pacing is amazing, the inversions are all very floaty with the exception of that one super awesome and whippy stall. The Outer Bank has the single most sustained moment of ejector I've ever experienced. The finale provides more rapid fire pops of ejector, and there are so many more elements I can talk about. I will definitely make a review of this coaster eventually, where I can go more into depth about every element. But as of today, Steel Vengeance stands tall as my number 1 coaster at the end of 2025. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a great 2026. See ya!